Yeah.
This is 476 Barbary, right?
Yeah, I'm renting this place.
No, I booked it a month ago.
Are you sure you have the right place?
Yeah. What am I supposed to do?
Why don't you come inside?
This process might seem overwhelming, but with a little practice, it can soon become a pleasurable.
Live from Gotham, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of our co-hosts, they're scared of Halloween for some reason. They believe in candles and circles and everything like that. Never mind, I'm not going to make that joke. Anyway, I had to bring on some other ones who weren't afraid, who didn't mind. And if you, like me, when you watch that Barbarian trailer, wondering, what the hell am I in for tonight? Well, you're in for a treat of some weird craziness. But I cannot do this alone. I will not do this alone. And coming up first, I got to bring in somebody who, as you know, has decided to make the ultimate sacrifice in being here tonight. It's Vic. Vic, how are you doing, sir?
It's popping. How you doing, Phil? Good to see you.
Now, I understand that you've been reliving Coming to America the last couple of weeks. How are you enjoying that? Do you regret it?
Hell no. I feel like Mufasa. I feel like the king. I'm happy. You know what I'm saying?
Everything is good. Of the movie.
Yeah, precisely.
Oh,
precisely. Everything is good. Everything is good. I'm shining. I'm good. I'm chilling. You know what I mean? I'm happy. Okay. I was, you know, it's a good time. You get married, you make that decision to be happy, not to.
Well, I say misery loves company, and you are a good liar. So we appreciate you for being here tonight.
Oh man, nothing could be further from the truth.
No, but blessings to you, seriously, Chris. Vic jumped over the broom, and we are not alone. We want to bring in EE. Has been traveling around the world doing I don't know what, but she has a lot of money, so she can do that. E, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, blessed, healthy, glad to be back.
That's right. And listen, I think that you and I have similar tastes in films, and I believe that whenever you saw this movie, you had similar reactions to it as I did. I'm very curious to hear your take on this movie tonight. We saw the trailer, who, by the way, started off with nothing but audio, and then midway through, it realized that it was a video podcast as well, and we started to see clips of what we could only hear. For a second, I thought I was Helen Keller, but then I realized, no, it's just Chris operating backstage. Chris, we want to thank you for being on the show Pseudo tonight. We know that you're very busy not watching the movie, so whenever you can join us, we do appreciate it, okay? Now, we are back doing segments, best of, worst of. I got to know who wants it first. Please tell me, what was your best of, worst of scene in this movie called Barbarian?
Oh, wow. Okay, let's start with the word. I'm sorry. Go ahead, E. Go ahead.
No, please.
Right, I'm being rude because I just got something.
No, you're not. Go ahead, man.
You know what? Okay, the titty sucking, that was the worst. I'm not gonna lie. That was just too much. I feel bad for this dude. Listen, this dude deserves millions of dollars for that. Nothing that I got anything against breastfeeding, but I just feel like they demonizing breastfeeding in this movie.
Okay,
like that was just worse than the first killing. Like I thought there'd be more killings, but that was just, I don't know how you made that gory. The point was just like, you feel like that was just, come on, man, come on.
Yeah, then, that was pretty gross.
And let me just say this, okay? Quick synopsis of this film, so because this movie is all over the place, okay?
Facts.
Essentially, a young woman, she wants to be a writer, a filmmaker, and she's in Detroit on an interview. There's a big conference, and she can't get anywhere to stay, so she stays at an Airbnb on the outskirts of the city proper, okay? As it turns out, she is not alone in more ways than one, excuse me. And she strikes up a friendship, possibly relationship, and things turn sideways very, very quickly. She's given warning, but the movie explains why some warnings aren't heeded. So, Vic, going back to you, I agree. That scene took me out. But did you know that originally they were going to have Justin Long's character, AJ, eat the regurgitated food of the character known as the mother. And they thought that that was too much, so they changed it to the Baba breastfeeding scene that we saw.
Diablo. All right. Yeah, well,
That's disturbing.
it is.
Yeah, I don't know which one would have been worse, you know, being fed like a baby bird or being fed like a human baby. I don't know.
Yeah, that one's hard. I'm gonna say eating vom is harder than suckling a titty that you've never seen before, and that when you did see, it was rather jolting.
It depends on who it's hanging from, and in this case, no, it was. And
would you eat her vom though that came from her mouth and her insides and passed?
I would have sucked on that hairy. I would have sucked on that hairy bottle like there was no tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
See now, absolutely. how did she figure that out? That's what I was trying to understand.
I don't know how she filled it because she's mammalian. I don't want to know, but I would have thanked the Lord that I was alive after seeing what I saw.
No, and mind you, like I wonder how she figured all of that out in the dark. Because she didn't have any light. And...
the video. Remember, her room had the it was set up.
Oh, I see. Okay.
She did have that one video. I didn't see any other videos that in this movie that would have been hers.
No.
Or that
she did not have UPRE. She
no, because
but her dad had all those recordings. Maybe she saw something on that.
But she was scared to go in that room.
No, like
remember when AJ is running and he nears the door, she doesn't go after him. She was which leads me to believe that she too was a victim of her own. All joking aside, in this part, that she too was a victim of her father. So I say all that to say that she possibly was the biggest victim in this entire movie of victims, if you want to say it that way.
I mean, when the guy said the story. Which is weird that they didn't necessarily go into it. But when the guy
that would have been too much for me.
When the guy said the story, like I think that I feel like they did it so quickly that you could have missed it. Like once you get it, and it's just like generation after generation of just mixing. I was just mixing and mixing, like it's just like what, and this is the outcome. You know what I mean? Like
not to mention they showed the movie is shown in 3 different segments. You have Tessa's point of view, you have AJ's story rather, and then you have the father of the mother. I know that sounds crazy, but it is his flashback point of view story. And when he goes into, I mean, you see a lot of this movie is very visual. Right, and visual horrific scenes. And Vic, please, if you have more to say, by all means, jump in. But when we see him pretend to be the, I'm gonna call him the Pepco guy or whatever, and he unlatches the lock on the bathroom window so that he could come back later, and then we see him, we follow him when he goes back home, and we can hear even when he steps foot in the house, his own house, the screams coming from that hidden basement downstairs. Coupled with the fact that we see the dog cages where we know some of the people were, that to me is nightmare fuel. You know, I know we're doing Halloween episodes this month and everything, but I thought that was more effective as far as fear-inducing than a lot of what we see, because once we understand what's going on, the visuals, okay, it make, like how you said, it makes sense. Once I process what Andre is telling them in the water tower, okay, I'm on board. It looks crazy, right? But I'm on board. But the thought of that and knowing that that does happen, sadly, right? I'm glad that they didn't show that. That would have been too much for me.
Yeah, I think the strengths of this movie is in all of the different elements of setting up.
Yeah.
It starts from the beginning, kind of setting the stage of one, you're going to an Airbnb in Detroit in a neighborhood you don't know. And you get there, it's raining, it's pitch dark, and you can't get in. So that's already one like kind of loss of security, right? Yeah. You don't want to be out there, a woman in the dark, a completely empty, seemingly neighborhood.
Did she know that it was empty?
No, but here's the funny thing about the country in the dark. That's the best. The country in the dark. When you're in the country in the dark, right? You don't be seeing addresses. You can't see street lights. You can't see any of that stuff. You only got all you have is your high beams. And when that sun came out and revealed everything, then she knew exactly where she was.
She rushed to that interview like it was the only thing that mattered, though.
Yes,
I would have brought my suitcase at that moment.
Yes, me too. I was just like, why would you even go back? Like,
I mean,
after all of that, like.
Also, and when it's that dark and none of the houses have any lights on, there's no street lights. It's completely dark.
There's nothing.
That should tell you that something's not quite right here.
That's right.
That's one thing. And then when she gets there, there's a stranger there, and it's a man. So it kind of builds on that back of the mind woman's deep dark fear that some man is going to violate her or take advantage of her vulnerability. She kind of didn't really have a choice, though, at that point. And so they spend the night together. It's very slow building, but they do build some trust there to some degree. So then you kind of get that little anticlimactic because you're kind of building, but that's okay because you're in the beginnings. I think what this movie also does is that it jolts into a plot twist quickly. That one jolt, I think, really sends you into hyperdrive, not only with the fear that's been building with seeing these different ominous settings, the room with the bucket and the bloody bed, the door with a rope pull that opens it, kind of secret wall door. It's like you just keep feeling that fear climbing with respect to all of the little pieces that you're seeing, and they're puzzle pieces that tie together and tell you something happened, somewhat indicative of what actually did happen and the truth of the matter, but you just don't get the intensity and horror that happens until you get the full story, once the homeless man kind of delves into it, thinking that in that moment they were safe and that they weren't as vulnerable as they were in his secret safe place.
I love those.
For me, one of the best moments is definitely when Bill Skarsgård's character gets his head smashed. And Vic, you did say the breastfeeding was a little bit more.
No, you know. Here's the thing, because I didn't expect the breastfeeding. I expected this guy to die. I expected him to be the killer. Like, I thought he was. All right, it's another guy.
You thought AJ was the killer, or
no? The first guy.
Maybe part of it.
Because here's the thing, like, because the truth is that the way they set him up to just make you think this movie was going in another direction, right? Yeah. This movie felt like it was going to go in one direction, and then all of a sudden you see this monster smashing his head. And it's just like, oh, what's going on here?
Cut to black.
Yes. Yes. Like out of nowhere. And then, mind you, right then and there, I thought she was dead. Because that's it. They didn't show her. And then once again, when all of a sudden she shows up and she's like, shh, and they cut to black again, I'm just like, what? She's alive? What do you mean she's alive?
Now, mind you, remember, and in the movie, they say that it's been a few weeks, at least a month, because AJ's like, when's the last renter been here? And they say, I don't know, 3-4 weeks.
Hey, that's the part I didn't really get either.
She was down there for weeks, and the only thing that she fed on was damn. I just peeped that.
A champion. A champion. I don't want to spoil it.
She deserved to walk out.
A champion.
I give you that. You know what I mean? Yeah, straight up.
Eve, what were you about to say?
Better than Hunger Games.
I mean, it's literally the Hunger Games.
Facts.
Who's operating that Airbnb to book them to?
Yo, I want to know the management company, bro.
I forget how that happens.
AJ lands, right? He goes to that office, and there's this woman who couldn't give a damn about her job or her salary.
Oh yeah, the house manager.
She's the secretary for that woman that he calls. Neither one of them really give a damn because it's probably like their second or third job or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
And she was the one who was supposed to send somebody to check up on it after the person left, but nobody's been checking up on it. Hence why some of the things that we suspect have been going on have been happening. And the only person to know about it, ironically, is the homeless man who does his morning walk through the entire neighborhood collecting whatever he collects in that shopping cart as he goes to and fro his home. Okay. So he's the only one who actually sees what's going on. But it was at least a couple of weeks. Now, listen, I know, what are we at? 15? Give me a second. I got time for these. I got to jump in here with some of my favorite takes. Vic and E mentioned some of them, and I agree. Okay. The breastfeeding with the long hair. I don't know which part of the body that was on, but let me tell you something. When I saw her in the light, I would have took the bottle and I would have said thank you, because the alternative would have been horrific. I saw what she did to Keith. I don't want to ruin it. Spoiler alert. All right. She pulled AJ out like he was a piece of cotton. Okay. I would have done whatever she wanted me to do. Okay. Dirty as hell in that pit. All right.
Man.
But I added some other clips that we didn't talk about. Let me just say, controversially, and I don't agree with everything that he did. What'd you say, Vic?
That whole scene brought back memories too. Like,
I don't want to know, Vic, if you're talking about real life. I don't want to know.
Yo, hey, some of them it's not that long, but damn, bro.
But
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy.
You can't wash that down with a glass of water.
Yeah, you really can't though.
So
crazy.
Sorry, here we go. You ready? I don't agree with all his actions.
Oh man.
But my MVP for this movie has to be AJ, because he kept it real through the whole thing. And the one time he goes ahead and he says, F it, let me try and fix this up. He gets caught up in something. But AJ stayed the same throughout the whole movie. And he was comedy, pure comedy, as Chris likes to say. I loved it. But here's some of the scenes, okay? This first one that I thought was just so effective. And again, we talk about nightmare fuel and everything earlier with the father. I thought this scene, the way they shot it, was just beautifully done. And this is Tess trying to get away. All right, now we mentioned him earlier. Shout out to my man Andre, the black man who knows how to survive in this area, in this post-apocalyptic Detroit, which I hear looks just like it does today in real life. They shot it on location, I'm guessing.
He said post.
Also, shout out to Airbnb, who you thought you only had to worry about the cameras in the bedrooms. Oh, there's more to worry about. Okay, but here's a scene with Andre in his home, and it just had me cracking up. Chris, cover your eyes and your ears, because I don't want to spoil it for you. Okay.
How do you know she can't get in here?
Shit, I've been living in this place more than 15 years, and she ain't never came in this motherfucker.
The rest of that scene is wild. Shout out to Andre, who lived for 15 years before he got beat with his own arm. I'm not gonna make that joke, but you can figure it out, okay? Now, I'm not gonna make that joke, but he might have had it coming to him.
Yo, that's crazy. Yo, you wild. Yo.
I mentioned AJ. He's my guy as we get him ready to go to the commercial break, okay? Here's AJ doing what AJ does best, looking out for himself.
Come get your baby.
Chris, you've been watching these. I told you to cover your eyes and ears because I really want to know your reaction. Thumbs up, thumbs down. But that scene leading up to that at the water tower, I thought that was it was messed up. Don't get me wrong. It was messed up.
It was messed up, but brilliant.
It was very human. And I got to keep it real.
Brilliant.
That's true to who he was as a character.
Mm-hmm.
That it took him that long to do that, I was surprised. You know what I mean? But he showed he was the reflection of who humans really are, as was Tess, as was all of them were so human. You know what I mean? And I love that about the way the characters were written in this movie.
You know what? You know what's crazy about him though?
Go ahead.
He went through this whole tirade about like, I did something bad,
But I believe he believed it at the moment.
I feel bad, and I'm gonna fix it because I'm Captain America, and I'm gonna fix whatever I do wrong because I'm a good guy.
I think he meant it, but there's a 9-foot woman with gorilla strength beyond gorilla strength chasing us, and you're hurt and you're crying and you're no help to me right now. So I need to get out of here. I tried to help you, I did, you know what I mean? But let's be real, okay? Now this is him explaining this to Tess.
Him shooting his.
I fucking panicked. I didn't even let go. You started to slip. There's nothing I could do. You get it, right? Okay. You're gonna be okay. I got you. I'm saving you. You're okay.
While I was watching that, I was thinking about not being able to wash it down with a glass of water. Vic, why?
I mean, like, no, look, that part of it is interesting, right? Because, look, that whole scene is very. People are gonna remember this and talk about like, grabbing by the pee, right? So this whole thing is similar to that because this guy got in trouble for all of that and whatever, right? But now, you know, after all of his roundabouts, and mind you, if you remember the bar scene, where he pretty much is just like, you know, she didn't want to, but I kind of coached her into it, and then you know she dropped the panties.
He said, "I'm laser focused when it's time to go."
Yeah, no, so he probably just wouldn't shut up about it, and then you know what I mean, and then she just gave it in, which is not good, but you know that's pretty much what apparently, according to him, what happened. But he probably pushed a little bit further than he should have, and he admitted it in the thing. And now, you know what I thought was gonna happen? I thought his friend was gonna I
thought he was recording him.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. That's what I expected. I expected more news and drama and stuff like that because you know that's very modern. But him getting his head just popped off like that, I think it's gonna be received in a mixed bag. I think some people are gonna look at him like the ultimate bad guy, especially with what he just did, because he's just covering his own ass. So at the end of the day, he's gonna just say whatever he needs to say in order to save himself, whether it's on trial or you know in life, like you know what I mean. Therefore, some people are gonna be like, "Oh, clap, clap, clap" for him, and then some people are probably gonna sympathize with him. But I really think it's not going to be the latter, to tell you the truth. So, you know, like when you start thinking about this deeply, yeah. But that whole scene about him popping his head off, the other part of me was just like, damn, it took long enough.
Like I said, you know, I'm kind of team AJ. Not what he did
Y'all
with
know
the
he's a
whole,
rapist,
you know,
right? Y'all know
with
he's
the
a
whole
rapist.
movement thing. No,
Y'all know he's a rapist. He's a rapist.
Listen. No, I mean you could put whatever label you want on him, right? But the thing is that nobody's gonna look at the nuance.
It was plainly.
Yeah, but
everything in this country has a label on it, right?
So
the thing is that the nuances is not gonna matter.
Y'all are popping big, please, but he was a rapist.
I'm talking about
exactly. There's another label.
Really
2022, Barbarian 2022.
Between him,
between
AJ and Frank, who was also a rapist.
Keep it real. When
the Barbarians were them. They were the Barbarians.
When he found the basement, and the first thing he did was start measuring everything. You didn't laugh?
That's hilarious.
That was hilarious.
I didn't think that was the question. I think it was more like disgust.
He's thinking only about the money.
It was
like he said, he's laser focused.
I think in that moment.
He's so true, but that's who he
is. Deluded.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying he's a good guy. No, he's not a good guy.
No,
right?
I hear you.
Hero. but
That is your guy,
stays,
though.
huh?
That's your guy, though.
That is my guy because he's so real.
Well,
it was an honest depiction of a human being, and I can't fault him for that because that's who he is. I don't have to
I'll say
like
some of
him
the
or
worst
not.
of us. I'll say some of the worst of us. I feel like humans. I
No,
think I
of
can
us
give
is the
us a
father.
lot more credit
The worst is the father.
than a
There's
rapist
there's no
somebody.
comparison.
I
The
want
worst
to know
is the
why.
father.
To
And
what?
you think AJ is worse than the father?
Nah, yeah,
I
facts.
didn't say
Nah,
that.
No, but that's what you said. The worst
I
of us.
said
I'm
they are
saying
the
the worst is the father.
barbarians in this.
Huh?
I
The
think
worst,
that was the
and
play.
even
It was the
and-
play on that. It's the play from the title that the barbarians truly were Frank and AJ, both
I think the
rapists.
barbarians were all of them. Even Keith. Listen, you remember the scene?
Why
Chris,
Keith?
Oh, I'm gonna tell you.
What you do?
I'm gonna tell you. Spoiler alert for those who haven't seen this movie. She tells Keith. Tess already told Keith that she was in an abusive relationship and everything like that. So she's still suffering from that to whatever degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's terrified to be in that house anymore, and she tells Keith, "We just need to get out of here." Keith doesn't listen to her at all. Goes into the basement where clearly he already passed that room that's covered in blood and everything like that. That he knew something that happened in there that didn't belong there. No, hear me out. Then he goes further down into obviously something, no pun intended, man-made, right? A man-made cave system. And then when he gets in trouble, because we know that he saw that woman down there, right? He calls for Tess to come help him out. When Tess actually, even though she's petrified, who wouldn't be? Because, if this grown man who's like 6 foot something, 6'5", is scared to go down there and it's too much for him, what is she going to do at 5, whatever, right? So she still goes down there to help him because, again, her mentality is, I do whatever the guy says. And then when she says, this is the way out, he doesn't let her go. He's like, no, you're coming with me further into your fear, into this tunnel place and everything like that. He's the one that gets her into it. Now, you could say that she had the faculty to just leave and she got her own self into that. But I think Barbarian is really everybody in this movie is just different degrees of barbarism, if you will. I do think so.
I mean,
And really, the Andre, like Andre said, because even Andre says to when he put that scene that I showed earlier, Andre pulls her out of the basement, right? And the first thing she says is, "We got to go back there and get AJ." Andre's like, "What the hell are you talking about? She comes out at night. You got a couple hours. You got to get out of here. You can come and stay at the water tower because she never comes there, or you can just leave town." The first thing she does is go to the cops and stays with them, even though they're not listening to her the whole time. And then instead of leaving on foot, even after the cops leave themselves, she goes back into the house. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's why nobody is perfect in real life, and nobody's perfect in this movie.
I'm not going to nobody's perfect, the rapist.
No, I said nobody's perfect in real life, and nobody's perfect in this movie. I didn't say that rape was good. And two, and two,
I don't
clearly,
know. I can't. I don't think. I don't see that. What I see are two very barbaric people that made decisions that caused dire effects, especially Frank, and the incest baby mother lady.
I don't think she's guilty at all. I think she's.
I was gonna say, I agree. Yeah. I feel like she was definitely a victim of circumstances and just an inability to be taught to behave like a human being, and it makes that sort of being trapped and being victimized like that again and again in that way. By somebody that is your relative, your father probably, and also just whatever. Anyway, that sort of treatment can definitely debilitate somebody, especially when they grow up in that atmosphere. To circle back, I think he probably is the most human. One, for calling for help, which I think any of us would do if we were being chased, but maybe. I don't know. I feel like a couple pieces of this movie just were aspects to keep the story going, right? Okay. The point that Keith was asleep, the point at which Keith was asleep and kind of talking in his sleep and moaning and saying, help, help. Like that was a needless scene. It was only to continue to build upon that brewing fear that possibly Keith is up to something insidious. And then I don't know, him yelling out from the basement. I feel like the least human act to do then is to go down there. Like, you feel the empathy and wanting to, but did she even bring a weapon, guys? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. Point being, I have to disagree with you on some points, but yeah, I can understand, I think, some of what you're saying.
I have more to say, but I think I'm not saying that you're wrong at all. I think you're making valid points. I think this movie is all about perspective, as I think Vic said earlier. It's three different aspects of this movie. But we got to cut to a commercial break. Hold on, Vic. Yeah. We got to cut to commercial break. E, you're going to have the last word in this first part of the segment. Chris, if you will, what do we have coming up next week?
Rip. We're in trouble, Gary. This is highly illegal.
What would you little maniacs like to do first?
Good morning, good morning. It's great to stay up late. Good morning to you.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feel, and I'm happy again.
Still going strong, singing in the rain. You got to watch that episode.
Is there something going on with that? Is there something happening with that?
You don't know this, but Singing in the Rain has been our highest watched broadcast that we've ever done on UPRE. So people keep asking for it in the comments, and we keep bringing it back. Popular demand. So it's still going strong. But I will say the theme for next month is I Love the 80s, and we do here at UPRE. Oh, it's going to be politically incorrect. It's going to be sexist. It's going to be all kinds of.
Is it sexism?
Yes, it is. It's the 80s. It's the 80s.
You stupid.
Won't be on that one.
Well, we're gonna spoiler alert, we're gonna love the 90s, we're gonna love the O's, and we're gonna love the 10s as well. Okay, so you have your choice. Come see Weird Science. That's my pick next week. I love that movie. All right, 80s pick. Week after that, we have E.T. classic. Everybody on the show has watched it. Excuse me. Tonight though, we're talking about Barbarian. E.T. is Vic's pick, by the way. We're talking about Barbarian tonight. E had the last word. Vic, you were about to say something before we cut to commercial break. What did you want to share about that?
Well, I mean, one thing that I appreciated was the cop scene. Because it really shows what happens when the resources are low.
Yeah.
And like how they have to, they got to pick and choose where they go. Because clearly it's not like a police force that has this vast number of people that a metropolis is supposed to have. You know what I mean? But, the town clearly is like abandoned, and there isn't funding going into that. And usually these type of things, people have to drive far away. There's a lot of small towns in America that have like a sheriff, and like you call the sheriff and he shows up in 45 minutes. And the fact that she was just isolated, like some people are not going to be able to like resonate with that, because you can be accustomed to just calling the cops and they're here in 10 minutes. You know what I mean? But that kind of thing was just interesting to me. The fact that they showed up, they didn't see anything, and then they ran away because they had other shit to do. And I don't know if a lot of people are necessarily going to relate to that, especially people that live in urban settings. But I found that to be, very realistic when it comes to just that, and that kind of help. And there might also be able to show why this guy was able to get away with it, because that's another thing. Like, it makes you think, like, how the hell is this old man been able to get away with this and then live down there for this long and da. You know what I mean? Like, but even that scene when he was speaking to the neighbor, and the neighbor was like, "Oh, the neighborhood's going to hell. I'm getting out." Da. And then he's like, "I'm not going anywhere." And that was the end of that. So, like, it's just interesting. It's interesting how he figured that out.
So leading in, you give this movie a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
I don't recommend it. So, to be honest with you, I'll give it a thumbs down.
Wow. The first time in UPRE history.
No, I think it is the first. No, because you know what? Because the thing is that, like, it talks about an old man fucking his kids over and over. Come on, man. Like,
easy.
I'm sorry, word. Like, it just come on, guys. It's just the subject matter is just not, like, I get it that, like, it's a nice ride as far as, like, yo, what the hell's going on, blah, 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 this and that. But it's definitely not something I would put on.
Well, this is not a documentary, right?
No, it's not. But, like, it just makes you go, like, and then the titty sucking, like, is just weird. And that's supposed to be something you enjoy. You know what I'm saying? Like, that whole part of, like.
So are you giving this a thumbs down because of flashbacks, purely because of flashbacks?
No, that was a flashback because, it's funny because there was a time where I didn't realize that hair grew there. Right. And then one time.
What is your vote? What is your vote, E?
That's
thumbs up, thumbs down.
So this movie really caught me off guard. I happened to watch it once it was released on HBO. And I happened to have like a free afternoon and decided, hey, let me watch this horror movie I've been hearing everything about, or good reviews, I should say. Went into the movie completely blind, which I think did it a solid. There were a lot of little pivots in the story and one major plot twist. I hadn't seen a plot twist that good since *Malignant*, which came out the year before. Also check that out this Halloween if you have a chance. But this was a really good one.
Keep your head in the car.
No, that's Hereditary.
Oh yeah. What is *Malignant* again? Which one is that?
*Malignant* is the one with the lady who had a twin, a Siamese twin.
Okay, I need to
check that out. Hey, look, check it out. I think it's still on HBO. Okay. But it in that same way, it feels stylistically a little more old school until it pivots to that kind of 3-point perspective of the storyline, and then all the kind of the culmination towards the end piece. But it had some really good moments, really jolting moments, even just a couple gory moments, just enough to satisfy the person that likes that sort of horror movie. And I think, honestly, the strongest scares were the things that we didn't see and kind of the things that were left to our imagination. So for me, I'm going to give it a thumbs up.
E with *Malignant* and the thumbs up. And Siamese twins, shout out to them. I have no idea if one is being absorbed or not, or if it's like Total Recall. I'm sure it's going to be crazy, but I'm going to watch it. Listen, this movie gives you everything you want and don't want, especially if you walk into a blind, as E says. I had no idea. I just saw everybody was talking about this movie, all the commercials of people reacting in the theater. I watched it the way I watch all my movies. Thank you, Fire Stick. Because it was a great movie. I don't regret watching it. Vic, I think you're lying. I think you love this movie. You're just hating because I put it on here on the docket. Okay.
No, here's the thing. It's not that I don't look.
Thumbs up.
I wouldn't watch it. No, I'm not gonna say it's a thumbs up. I don't like the subject matter. I don't like the incest. Period. That's the thing.
Nobody.
No, I just don't like that. I don't like. That's the part of it. That's the part of it that I don't like. I wouldn't watch it again, and I wouldn't recommend it. You understand? That's the reason.
But it was effective as a horror movie.
It's certainly as far as
because it's horrifying.
As far as like putting a story together and all of that, it was good.
Right.
It was certainly, it kept me captivated, it kept me entertained. Right. So I'll give it a thumbs up for that. But the reality of the situation is that I would not watch this movie again because like I don't like what's going
disturbed.
on. Yeah, that's the word. There you go. It's disturbing. That's the thing. That's the reason it's
last week
that's a thumbs up to the director.
You know what I mean? And no, I'll give you that. I mean, look, if that's the goal, then you got it. You feel me? If that's the goal, then you got it, because that is definitely disturbing.
Last week, Chris, he gave my pick, which was "Talk to Me," the movie with the hand, that people have to touch to connect to spirits.
Yeah,
he gave that a sideways.
We could do that. I'll give it a sideways.
Well, Chris just makes up the rules as he goes along. He didn't want me to win the crown.
It wasn't. I think because I don't look a thumbs down. Does that mean it's supposed to be like terrible?
No, I mean you're calling it a thumbs down because in real life it will horrify you, but the director did everything. Here we go, Chris with the nonsense. If you're not on screen,
I mean, listen, this is better than the Batman.
But every way you're describing this movie, it sounds like a thumbs up to me. But listen, let me just say this final thoughts, okay? You couldn't be more right about this movie and what it deserves.
I know.
Vic, I want you to stop being a hater, but I'm gonna let you have some leeway today, okay? That being said, the movie did what it was supposed to do, and it gave you stuff that you didn't even know you didn't want to see. Like the visuals alone were crazy, okay? They had comedy in this, they had horror, then they had horror. To E's point, there were some barbarians in this movie. Vic, I think you mentioned it earlier when AJ McBride, his character, when he says, I've done some terrible things, but I want to change. And I mentioned that, he was sincere, but I think that sincerity comes from, to E's point, the scene when he sees the father in the room and he sees what the father has been doing over the decades. Mm-hmm. And in a way, he might see himself in that character. He might see what he could become if he continued down that path. And he's so horrified by the outcome or the end of the line for him, or what he could be, that he says, no, I have to change. And when given the opportunity to that point, as funny as it is, and as realistic as it is, when he throws off the water tower, no, that's not deep down who he is when it counts, when it matters, And
I mean, no,
Keith,
but look,
I'm sorry, but Keith, who was afraid, he was afraid and he called out for help. And as he says, that's very human. So we can't fault that to them. So we got to give credit to Tess, who went down there, even though she was afraid. Keith, if you were with me, I would have left and I would have called the DC. But shout out to Vic, who believes in more police funding. Hold on, Vic. Let me give you your credit. Shout out to Vic, who believes in more police funding. He's a big fan of the NYPD, who gets
they get enough. They get enough. I mean, it's just that, like,
and according to Vic, they do so much for the city. No, let me stop. But this movie has to get a thumbs up from the executive consultant, from me, thumbs up, from E, thumbs up, from Vic, hate. But this was Barbarian tonight, folks. Thank you for watching.
You notice how the old man
singing in the rain.
The old man killed himself as soon as his truth was revealed.
Are y'all really gonna tell me what's up with the singing in the rain thing?
No, it's a running joke. No, you know what? We're gonna do singing in the rain.
You didn't watch the episode?
No, we're gonna do
bad about it.
Tune in next week.
No, we're gonna do singing in the rain as soon as we do In the Heights. All right, so that's what's gonna happen. But anyway,
In the Heights is gonna be way more fun. That's not fair.
Quick question before we end the episode.
I agree. I totally agree.
Hold on, quick question before we end the episode. Which one are you picking? Which one are you picking? Are you picking straight from the nipple? Are you picking from the nipple bottle? Or are you drinking some of the father's liquor bottles?
Nah,
which one?
The bottle.
We don't know what's in the bottle. We don't know if it's water, if it's liquor, if it's urine. We don't know. Which one are you drinking from?
No, the nipple. I mean, not the bottle. The bottle.
There you go.
You stupid.
I'm going bottle. All you have to do is like this. Get the hair off of there.
Facts.
No. You let that hair tickle the back of your throat.
No,
like a big girl. You let that hair tickle your throat like a big girl. Sign it out. Thank you for watching, Chris. This outro, please. This is crazy. My co-hosts are crazy.
It's a no.